Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. We're just going to jump right in, be very punctual, kicking this off right at 10. To kick things off, I'll introduce myself. My name is Malcolm Kerr. I'm the VP of Marketing here at Sysdyne. Been with the business for almost a year now. It's been about 10 months. Thank you so much for joining today. I know everybody's busy, and so yeah, grateful that you're spending time to be with us today. The goal for today's webinar, we're going to go through some kind of products and features that range in readiness. Some are available today, some are right on the horizon, but the goal is to be very tangible. There is going to be nothing abstract or theoretical about what we'll run through. This is what we are actively building or have already built all around getting AI into the production environment at your concrete facilities. So a little housekeeping, there's a little question mark icon that you'll see. If you have any questions as we go through the material, feel free to type those questions in. We're not going to actually do a Q&A until the end of the presentation, just to make sure we can get through everything. But you know, and if we can't kind of get to your question live, we'll respond afterwards over email. So feel free to ask us questions about any of this stuff. All right, next slide, please. I assume if you're joining this webinar, you're already a bit familiar with Sysdyne, but for those that may be newer, I'll give a quick intro to who we are and what we do. So we are the industry leader in cloud-native end-to-end software for the ready-mix industry. So we focus on dispatching, batching, delivery management, and reporting, and a few other bells and whistles, but that's really our bread and butter. The kind of core philosophy of the business is that the products should all be natively built to integrate with one another, be easy to use, and help your business run quickly and more profitably. We have about 350 customers ranging from one plant operations all the way up to the largest enterprises in the country. We're proud to share we have a retention rate of around 95% and 120% net retention, meaning basically existing customers adopting more products, and an industry-leading net promoter score of 69. Right now, we're averaging somewhere around 40% year-over-year growth. So very exciting time here at Sysdyne as we continue to expand our presence. We're about 100 employees, independently held, and roughly half of us are in engineering. So without further ado, I'm proud to introduce our two speakers today. We have Mandy Cherry Daniel, our head of product communications. Mandy has held senior leadership roles across customer success, training, as well as product. And then we also have Henry Lee, our senior vice president of technical account management, who has held a lot of senior leadership roles across sales, delivery, and Henry's role is to basically ensure that in every sales process and when we're actually delivering product, we have the right expertise in the room and we're guiding people with best practices. So there are no two qualified people that would be better than these two to walk through the roadmap. So without further ado, I'll pass the baton to you two.
Thanks, Malcolm. Fixed Henry's title on the slide, but oh, there it goes. Okay, so some common operational challenges that we as an organization feel like AI products can help with, right? We all know that there's dispatch is overrun with phone calls on a daily basis. Oftentimes your drivers aren't fully utilized to their maximum capacity. We have inefficient delivery schedules that get created, material waste and cement overruns, and inconsistent plant-to-plant performance, right? The plant is so dependent on the operator and how much experience that one particular operator has with their plant, which makes that, you know, dependent on the results, dependent on that person's skill. And of course, we have rejected loads, dispatch disruptions, reordered materials. All of these things are things that the industry faces every day that are problems that are ripe for AI.
If you add that, Mandy, on top of that, we thought that the changing workforce that right after the COVID, you know, it makes this more challenging than ever now.
Yeah, these challenges are all amplified as we have people age out of the industry and have the younger people come into the industry. It amplifies all the problems that people have to experience, which really makes, you know, technology a good opening for technology to come in and help close those gaps. So how does AI help do that? All AI initiatives, all of our AI initiatives, I should say, are aiming at delivering a tangible quality and tangible value by improving your concrete quality, by improving your dispatch and driver productivity, by shortening the life cycle of the production, and just generally making it easier to do your job without all that innate skill set. We feel Sysdyne Technologies, we feel like we're uniquely positioned to help solve these problems because of our unique ecosystem, right? Our products were built from the ground up to be in the cloud. We're leveraging the latest technologies in our systems, and all of that data resides in one ecosystem, which really makes it easy for us to leverage all of that information to build a sound system. And one thing that you're going to see as we go through these products, this is all technology based, right? In order to use the technology that we're talking about today, we're not requiring the addition of any expensive hardware to your systems. There's no, upgrades that need to happen. This is true AI software functionality that is available to just turn on and start using, making implementation easy. So all that said, what are we working on? We've got 4 active products that are currently in some stage of development and are all very real at this time. First is our AI-powered business intelligence tool called InsightGo Plus. And this is a natural language-driven self-serve BI tool that allows users of all skill sets to really start analyzing and digging into data. We also have our next day planning functionality, which allows dispatch in ConcreteGo to create a next day order schedule and call in the right amount of trucks and open the right amount of plants, right? So maximize the number of deliveries that each truck delivers, and maximize the concrete production out of each plant. We also have our AI-powered online order requests, what we're calling Dispatch Copilot, allowing for voice and text-enabled order requests through our mobile app, and allowing customers to create that without having to make additional phone calls to dispatch. And then we have our batch cycle optimization product, optimizing material costs, minimizing standard deviations with faster way-ups. So let's dig into the details. Our first product that we're going to look at today is our next day planning tool. Sysdyne's next day planning tool aids the operation by creating intelligent, data-driven systems that integrate with plant, driver, and route selection, right? So we're going to make the best decision that allows you to achieve a balance between the cost of the materials, the performance of the plant, and still maintaining a good level of customer satisfaction. We see that users that use this, the data shows that we can save thousands of dollars in plant and driver utilization efficiencies. So what does this look like? Let's switch over and do a demo here of our next day planning tool. And that is not where I am, of course. Okay, so here we go. Our next day planning tool. This product resides in ConcreteGo and is accessible from the dispatch or from the tracking screen. So when you open the tool, what you get is a summary. If I am looking at January 12th, so I want to plan my orders for January 12th. This is showing me that I have 334 orders that are confirmed in the system for January 12th, and 141 drivers available, 18 plants. So what this tool is showing me all of the orders, all 334 of those orders, right? So your process would be much like it is now. You go through your current order stack, prep all those orders, make sure everything's confirmed and set up the way you'd like it to be for tomorrow. But through here, you can just do one final check of these orders. Shows you the customer name, the product they've ordered, how much of the product that they've ordered, their scheduled start time, and their on-job time. What I can also see in here is my list of available drivers for tomorrow. And so you see I have 164 drivers, but only 141 of those are available because 23 of them are on time off. And I see that in that list here, the number of drivers that are scheduled for PTO tomorrow. Obviously, we won't take those into consideration for our plan for tomorrow. I also see the number of plants and that plant capacity that are available for me to use tomorrow. So after I go through and do all of this check, I would click confirm and generate plan. But before I do that, I want to show you a few settings that help drive the engine that's going to make these decisions for us. So you see, I have a setting for maximum daily hours, the maximum number of hours that any one driver is allowed to be on duty or on the clock for the day, as well as the maximum number of hours they're allowed to drive while they're in that on-duty status. I can set a minimum break time. But an important one to note here is the driver leash. And so we don't want to assume that every driver is going to always ship out of their home plant and take all that orders out of their home plant. That wouldn't be very efficient. But we do have to set a leash for how far they can travel away from their home plant to make sure we're still delivering quality concrete. So we set those rules, and how these rules are set up would impact how that plan is generated. But I'm going to go ahead and click confirm and generate plan. And then what the system is going to do is give me what would be my driver call-in schedule for tomorrow. There's a lot of information on here, but what I like to show is we called 62 drivers in. Each driver is going to have an average hours working of 6.4 and 5.6 hours average of drive time. Each driver is going to carry an average of 4.8 loads. I also see that the material cost to deliver these orders is going to be just over $132,000. So my 62 drivers are all listed out here. What I like to show, and what I think is a very valuable piece of information on this screen, is this colorful bar we have running across here. What this shows me is how this driver's day is going to play out. And what I'm really looking for is this dark gray idle time. And so how much idle time is in my schedule for the day? And if you look at this particular order, this man does not have a lot of idle time, right? He's super utilized throughout the day. I can see how much break time he has, how much wash time and pour time, but you can get a quick look at what this man's day is going to look like for tomorrow. I see that he's going to carry 7 loads. He's going to work from 6 a.m. to 5:40 p.m. He's going to travel 142 miles and work for 11.7 hours, drive for 3.4 hours. He'll be clocking in at plant 3 and clocking out at plant 3. So he'll return to his home plant. If I have questions or more questions about what this day looks like, I can click this drop down arrow and I get information about each one of his loads that he's scheduled to carry tomorrow. So this is a yard sale order, which probably is not the best example, where it's going to be delivered to this delivery address at 6 a.m. His second load is going to be a 4,000 delivered to this address at 7:20 a.m. And you see the reasoning. This shows that this driver out of this plant carrying this material is the best balance of route efficiency and material cost optimization. So we have decided to surface all the reasoning and the decisions behind every decision that was made on this driver call-in schedule. What we have heard from feedback from customers, challenges with other systems that are doing this sort of thing is, this decision doesn't seem logical to me. Why did your system make this decision, right? So you can come in here and click on any one of these and get information about why that particular decision was made. I can look at this in list view. I can also, again, open it up and click on get all these details. I see my plant view here. Henry, were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that, reviewing orders and then see what's the planning for next day. That's a normal practice that people have to go through the plant manager on day-to-day basis. But the things that just a click of a button to generate what time you need each driver to come in, usually those take hours. So you got somebody with a lot of experience already, still take them hours to schedule the driver for the next day. So with just one click, and you can imagine the amount of time that you're saving to the plant manager or the people in charge of this. This is amazing.
It's exactly right. Like exactly what we said earlier, right? That innate knowledge, it takes somebody with innate knowledge to know, I can go to this plant. I can't go to that plant. I've got to stay within this range. How many hours has this guy been on the clock today? The system is going to take all that into, really integrate all that stuff without somebody having to remember or know all that. And it just happens, like you said, instead of starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and being done at 6 o'clock at night, making this plan, I can be done in just a few minutes. And I'm really just checking for anomalies and cleaning up anything that looks odd in here. You can see that we can also look at the plant view. And so what's happening at each of these plants, the volume we're going to ship versus the capacity, how many drivers are sent out of each plant. And then one thing I really like about this that I'm going to point out, when we connect this to your system, this tool will have access to all the data that already resides in your system. And one thing that already resides in your system is all your past driver call-in data, right? So we know how you set your driver call-in for any one day. I can compare the plan that this system has generated, 62 drivers, with what you did by hand on this same day. So if I wanted to go back and look at a date in November. And so I can see that in this case, the system actually used 2 less drivers than you did when you did it by hand, saving you 0.9%, which is $1,300. So that's a pretty significant savings from one select batch of orders for one day. And so you see how you can multiply that over the course of a month or a year. So all information, check everything, looking for anomalies. Once I'm satisfied, all I do here is click approve and send to DeliveryGo. At that stage, the system is going to go ahead, send all of this data to your DeliveryGo driver call out. And from there, you have your normal call out functionality. You can send your drivers text, make the phone calls, make sure everybody gets their schedule delivered from there. So that's a quick look at what the next day planning tool looks like. Let me switch back to presenter mode here. Sorry about that. And so what's the status here? We are in data review currently. I'm going through all the data that's being generated and validating. That's in progress with some people here internal to Sysdyne. We are testing and reviewing also the data with one early adopter customer. And we will be expanding our deployments to 3 customers by the week of February 2nd. So we'll target additional deployments and a larger scale rollout by the end of February, early March. This will be available for any customer that's using both ConcreteGo and DeliveryGo, since it requires a ConcreteGo dispatch and then export into your DeliveryGo system. All right. So the next product to talk about, this one is a little bit less real. We're still in the early development phase of this. This is what we're calling Dispatch Copilot. This is a simple and easy way to enhance the order request and dispatch coordination process by integrating AI in AI automation. So through the customer portal, a contractor would be able to request an order or change an existing day order without having to call into dispatch. And so where we are with this right now, this is in the proof of concept development that is underway. I will actually be getting my first look at that development process tomorrow to see what the screens and things start to look like. From there, we'll do an internal review and testing the week of 119, and we are targeting beta customers for this Q2 of 2026. So this is early phase, still working on this, but really coming close to being able something that we can look at. I'll turn it over to Henry to talk about BatchGo AI.
Thank you, Mandy. When we start looking at AI initiative, we cannot leave behind the batching part of this process. Batching plays such an important part of the ready mix. But in order for us to make this possible, we need to have the data, right? So the first part of for Sysdyne is to have the BatchGo on the cloud, so we can have access to those data in real time. So now that we accomplished that, now we start looking at how can we use those data. So we came with, okay, let's start looking at analyzing the weighing cycle. So the BatchGo AI 1.0 is applied advanced algorithms and analyzing those data and optimizing those batching parameters in real time. And these in turn will lead to higher quality of the concrete. We're going to reduce raw material cost and significant improvement in the production efficiencies. So once we started implementing this, we started to see a savings of about $25,000 in just materials per plant per year. Okay, next. So this is one of the graph to show how the precisions of the BatchGo AI. So if you look at in a normal scenario, this is cementitious material, which is plus or minus 1% tolerances. That is what is allowed. The system is trying to maintain within that parameters of plus or minus 1%. But if you look at that, the standard deviation of the batch result is pretty much on the negative side, but still within the tolerances. So we compare the orange area, which is once the BatchGo AI was turned on, and compared to the blue, which is the legacy vendors, you can see how the standard deviation, how is that reduced. So these not only allow you to save material cost, but when the QC people look at this, QC people usually they over design their mix designs because to accommodate for the standard deviation and the tolerances. But now they can feel more comfortable of maximizing or reduce their optimize their mix designs because they have more control standard deviation. Okay. So this is another way of looking at the performance. What we're showing here is that the orange are the BatchGo AI result, which once we turn that on, you can see at an average um, across 8 plant operations. I believe these are 2 months of data. We're showing that the performance of batch over tolerance has reduced to about 4 to 5%, while in the past you can see that there is anywhere from 20 to 30% of the batch going over tolerance. Next slide, please. So how the AI help improve? We look at historical data of the batch performances. We know how long was the free fall. We know how much material is coming out when you open close the gate, 0.5 seconds, 1 second. So we have the historical data. We also have um, the information where when it went over in the past, where did it go over? Did it go over by the fast feed or did it go over by the jogging part? So we have those data. We analyze them and then we optimize the settings. So try to reduce the tolerances. Then we continue to monitor, continue to optimize until we reach within the percentage of of the tolerances that we would like to achieve. So this is consistent result. So now if you look at the graph they're showing here, where the orange are the legacy systems, you're looking at a little bit over 14% of the loads over tolerances compared to BatchGo AI, which is somewhere around 4% of the loads going over tolerance. Okay. So what that result? That result in material savings. So not only we talk about cement, cementitious, which is probably the highest material cost within the cubic yard of concrete, but we also this AI can be applied to aggregate, to stone, to sand. So we can see that once the AI is applied, the tolerance, the percentage of the loads also reduced. That went over tolerance also reduced. So um, you can see that this can be applied to all weight materials.
So
Apart from the
Henry,
tolerance, yes, go ahead.
sorry, Henry, I didn't mean to interrupt. One thing
Oh,
that immediately jumps to mind is when you're doing this, does it dramatically decrease the speed with which we create these batches? Like, does this process slow it down in a dramatic way?
not at all. I think it's all the way around. It's actually speed up. And the reason speed up because we are more accurate at determining what's the free fall, right? What should be the cutoff. So we're cutting close to our target, but we're not exceeding the target. So that once we get close to the target, all you do is maybe one adjustment, maximum two, then you are within the tolerance that you want to be. So basically, actually reduce the weighing time. Right? Okay. Next. So what's the current status of the BatchGo AI 1.0? Is that it's currently live and ready for deployment. It's actually in production now at over 100 plants. For all those BatchGo users that you currently have, you can turn that on. If you need help on turning this on, you can reach out to our support. We're more than glad to help you to take advantage of this function right now. Back to you, Mandy.
Awesome. Thanks, Henry. So following the process throughout the day, right, we have planned our next day, we've automated creating orders for future, and we've improved the batch process. So the next step in operations day is to start analyzing the data and start looking at how we perform throughout the day. And that's where our InsightGo Plus comes into play. So InsightGo Plus is our AI-driven analytics platform that empowers producers to make faster data-driven decisions. And part of InsightGo Plus is what we call Insight Copilot, which is our natural language search functionality. And this is a really powerful tool that allows users of any technical skill level to be able to start thinking more analytically. So instead of having to call into the IT department and asking for a new report to be written, users can simply just type in a question in the plain old language that they use every day and get that answer. So that really allows everybody in the organization to start thinking and utilizing all that data that we have in our systems. So let's take a look at what Insight Copilot looks like, or excuse me, InsightGo Plus looks like here. Switch back over. So InsightGo Plus this is our daily operational dashboard. And so you see that in our dashboard, we've got this for a range of dates. So I'm using January 5th through January 12th. And we have several widgets that were designed for your operations leadership. So in this time on January 14th, we had 276.78 yards of concrete that were ordered. That's actually up 116% over the 14th. So the 15th had more yards than the 14th. We've ticketed 128 yards, which is down 41%. And then I have a representation of my order quantity by hour throughout the day and my order quantity status. So we see so far today, I've completed all of the orders that I have in the system. I've got no orders that are will call or on hold. I see my top 5 customers by volume, my top 5 projects by volume, and my top plants by volume. I can also see that I have 65 active orders, 135 active tickets, 20 removed orders, and 27 customers with active orders for the day. I get some preview into my order outlook map and my order where the plants and order quantity for future day. But let's take a look at what differentiates this here from some of the other BI tools, right? All kinds of BI tools can lay out graphs and charts, but what makes InsightGo Pilot really powerful is the AI functionality. So for example, let's take a look at the orders canceled. So from this order quantity screen, I can click on this Insight Pilot and I can get additional information. And so this Insight Pilot is where I can really use my AI functionality to get questions. So maybe I want to know how many customers canceled orders last month. And just by typing that in, the system is going to run that analysis, right? So the first thing it does is tell me what it's going to look for, so it can make sure I can just do a quick check to make sure that my words and its words align, right? And so you want to know how many customers canceled orders last month. That's correct. So I can see this data either by a chart or I can see it on like a little Excel grid. And here I can see that I had an average of 11 orders. But on 12/1, I had 17 customers canceled orders. On 12/8, I had 18 customers cancel orders. So this makes me think of another question. I want to know, maybe now I want to know who was the biggest culprit in canceling orders last month. So I can just ask. And again, I just typed those words in plain English, and the system is going to go find that answer for me, which is a huge benefit and savings of time over before, right? In the past, I would have had to send a request to IT or a business analyst and say, hey, can you pull this information for me? And so we see here that for the week of 12/15, customer 90C, we've had to mask this data because this is connected to a real live customer system. So this is masked, so we're not giving away any proprietary information here, is the customer who canceled the most orders, right? And so it gives you a little summary of what you've done. Now, this is where it's
What,
really powerful. Go ahead.
we all use ChatGPT for, part
That's
of
right.
our job and work. We know that many times we ask for things that may not come back with the result that or information that we're looking for. What happens if you ask a question and that's not what you look for? I mean, will this system be able to feedback, say this is not what I want, or would the
Yes,
system
exactly.
learn as it go?
Exactly. And that's why we have this feedback button right here. Was this answer useful or not useful? Now, just like ChatGPT, that's a very good point. Just like ChatGPT, this system is going to learn and get smarter over time, right? So the more users we bring onto this platform, asking questions and diving into the data, the better, the quicker, the faster, and the smarter that AI functionality is going to be for us, right? So far, this has really been me and a couple other internal testers that have been asking these questions. But as we drive into this and dig into it and give it feedback, the system is going to get smarter and smarter about the kinds of answers that it produces for us. It also does really well if I spell a word kind of incorrectly. I'm a notoriously bad typer, so I fat finger letters all the time. It does well at adjusting for those things. Couple other things that I can do here that I'd like to point out. So let's look at my ticket quantity graph right here and say that I'm noticing between this point and this point on this graph. So between the 12th and the 13th, I've had an increase in the ticket quantity, and I'm curious as to why. So all I have to do is click on those 2 points on my graph, and then I can do a right click and run change analysis. The system is going to dive through that data, dig through that data, and figure out why there was an increase in ticketed quantity between those 2 dates and give me that answer. So what it tells me is that these customers, so these are customer codes, customer 2E, customer CF, and 6 other customers had significant change in their ticketed quantity for that date range, right? So the highest
Those
contribution.
usually,
Go ahead, Henry.
sorry, Mandy. When I start thinking about this, I can picture people try to find out why that they have to run these reports and get production reports, export out to Excel, analyze the data, and find why there is an increase,
Exactly.
right?
And
Who
I
are
can
those
do even
customers?
more. I can do even more from here. I can continue to do drill down. So this is by customer code. Maybe I care about this information by plant code. So all I have to do is click on plant. It's going to give me the view of that same data, but with a different view, right? So now I can see which plant is the highest contributing to the increase in tickets or the decrease in tickets. And so you see that really powerful, and a real differentiator here is that this allows the user journey to be whatever comes into their head at the moment, right? I don't have to predefine. Somebody at Sysdyne or somebody at your organization didn't have to predefine what these questions or what this analysis is going to look like. It allows you to, in the moment, think of something and get that information back out to you. Okay, so just a few more things. If I wanted to drill down, I can drill down onto the data on any one of these widgets as well. So far, we've used AI to ask questions, we've run change analysis, but now I just want to do some old-fashioned drill downs, right? And again, I don't have to have these drill downs predefined. These are all the data points that are available in my data set. So order quantity per status, show me that by plant. And the system is going to run, and now it's looking at this same set of information by a different perspective, right? Now I'm looking at it by plant. And you can keep right-clicking and drilling down and going further and further into that data in whatever questions pop in your head as you do it. Couple of other things to point out. We can, of course, download any of these widgets as a PDF, but what I really want to show here is that we can also create a schedule. So we all know those people in our organizations that no matter how easy it is to use this tool are really just going to want you to send them an email every day, right? So I can create a schedule where I say, take this dashboard and every day at 9 a.m., generate a PDF, and send an email to Henry Lee. So when I save this schedule, now every day at 9 a.m., Henry Lee is going to get that dashboard in a PDF format directly to his email. So you have those users who might not want to, be in the office. Maybe they're at home on vacation. Your CEO's on vacation, didn't bring his computer, but he still cares about what's happening in the organization, right? You can quickly create that schedule and have that sent to him automatically. So there's a lot more. If we can do an in-depth demo for anybody who is interested in getting a more in-depth demo here, but that's a highlight for today of what we got. So what's the status of InsightGo Plus? We're building out, the team is building out additional role-based dashboards. We got feedback from those in the industry on, we're going to create an executive dashboard, a sales leadership dashboard, a batch dashboard. A real exciting advancement now that the Slabstack team is part of the Sysdyne team and we're all in one ecosystem, we're including Slabstack data into our BI analytics and Snowflake database, and we'll be creating a combined analytics functionality with the data between the Slabstack data and the Sysdyne data. We're currently testing with 2 early adopter candidates this week. It starts the week of the 19th, and then we'll be able to roll out to additional customers from there. So 4 products impacting each area of the operation. But what does all this mean for producers? So we think that we've demonstrated that each of these products has a measurable impact on optimizing your organization. More predictable costs, fewer daily fire drills, greater organizational control and insight into what's happening, fewer rejected loads, more predictable truck flows, right? These things are actual, measurable, tangible results with products that are, really close to being ready to come to market full force. We're also working on the next round of things, right? So our dev team's been very busy. And as we move forward and iterate and improve, we've got our next round of AI functionality. So the first is the BatchGo AI 2.0, which will be continued improvements to the speed of the batching process and improvements to the way out cycle. The next day planning version 2 will be the real-time dynamic scheduling throughout the day changes, optimizing the throughput of plants and trucks in real time as it happens instead of just that first round set. And then the release of the dispatch Copilot that we talked about, which will allow for online quote and order requests through Slabstack and Sysdyne functionality. And of course, automated acceptance of those things when appropriate. So we wanted to save some time for questions. We figured y'all might have a lot of questions today, so I'll open the floor to questions. Turn it over to Malcolm to manage that.
All right. Thank you, Mandy and Henry. That was a great run through. And I just want to, so that's the end of our pre-canned presentation. So we have all of this recorded and we'll send it out to everyone that RSVP'd if you need to circulate it with anyone else internally. So, and I see a hand raised. We're just looking for questions typed into you should be able to see a little icon with a question mark and a speech bubble. So please throw the question in there and we'll get to it. First up, so is the AI, this is a question about InsightGo Plus, is the AI data self-contained to just our system? Is the feedback to an answer kept in our system or shared across all users of the AI?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the data model is separate from the data layer, right? So your data is yours and it's protected to your own system. Like nobody's going to log into InsightGo Plus that works at company A and get a view into company's B's data. But the data model and the overall architecture is one thing. And so as you give generative or iterative feedback to the AI intelligence on top of it, it benefits everybody, right? So it doesn't just take customer A's feedback and improve customer A's system. It will improve how the data model functions as a whole, but your own individual tenant data is protected and restricted to your own view and bubble.
Great. Next question. So I think this is a question about availability of these features based on what Sysdyne products you have. So and I believe this question was asked during the InsightGo Plus portion of the demo. But maybe it could be helpful to just run through the 4 things we talked about and what products you would need from Sysdyne to actually take advantage of those advancements. Maybe we go back.
Perfect.
Might be a good way
For
to
sure.
address that.
Yeah. So InsightGo Plus is operational against any Sysdyne product. So if you have only Concrete Go, then the charts and graphs that you see, the questions you can ask will only relate to Concrete Go data. If you have Concrete Go and BatchGo, then you can ask and do analytics against Concrete Go and batch data. So you don't need the entire Sysdyne ecosystem to use InsightGo. As long as you have any one product, then there is some benefit to, you know, the analytics associated with that one product. The next day planning tool is a Concrete Go functionality. So that resides in Concrete Go, right? You're planning your orders and your deliveries for the next day. You can use it if you don't have DeliveryGo, but you would have to take the output of that and enter it into a you know, call out system. But if you have Concrete Go and DeliveryGo, then you can use those together and automatically populate your driver call out schedule from DeliveryGo. But Concrete Go is a requirement for next day planning. For the BatchGo AI, you obviously need a cloud batch system to do that. Doesn't work on the legacy batch systems, but it does work on cloud batch. And then the order request functionality requires both DeliveryGo for the portal and Concrete Go for input into that order system.
Great. And I'll just call out on the next slide, we have instructions on getting in touch with us. So maybe let's just jump to that slide really quick and then we'll go back to questions. So just if anybody has specific questions on, hey, how does this impact my specific account? Feel free to email us at sales@sysdynetechnology.com, or this QR code just goes directly to the contact us form. So if anybody has any specific questions around, hey, what does this mean for me? Please get in touch with us there. So I'm seeing a few questions around customer data and training the AI. So I think it may be good to just double click on that point, that customer data is not being intermingled across accounts, and it's not being used to train some larger model like ChatGPT or OpenAI.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know, Mandy, if you want to kind of expand on that, the distinction between the data layer and the
So this tool, InsightGo Pilot or InsightGo Plus, is a tool that sits on top of our Snowflake data. So we really haven't done anything to change how your data is stored, where that data is generated, right? So if you use any of our products now, all the reporting that's in our current tools is built off of our Snowflake database. This functionality is using that exact same Snowflake database. We didn't have to update it into some fancy ChatGPT engine, right? This is still housed in our Sysdyne ecosystem, protected with all the same protections that we've always had. What we've done is put this proprietary layer on top of that Snowflake data, and that's it. That's all that it's looking to. So we didn't upload your data to some larger cloud environment or something like that, or share it with ChatGPT or some other, you know, agentic AI model. We're using our standard Snowflake database. This tool sits on top of that and pushes the intelligence down from there. So again, same Snowflake database, same structure that we've always had, right? Your data is segmented to your tenant. We've got security around those things. We tested that extensively before we rolled out to make sure that when we pushed it into production, nobody, you know, there wasn't errors with ways of people could log in. It was one of the things that we were very cautious about in our testing. So yeah, it's really fanciness on top of the existing data that is the same as you've been using it for forever.
Mm-hmm. And we got a really, really good question around, hey, when we're using the LLM, how can we be sure the data we receive is real data and not hallucinations from the LLM? And so that kind of ties back to what you just said, Mandy, which is the kind of natural language processing. All that does is code into logic that you can then review. So it's not creating data out of nowhere. It's all the same existing
That's right.
database.
and I would say a couple things about that. So first, yes, it's using your data and your data only. So it's not looking anywhere else. It's only looking into our Snowflake database. Also, if you question the validity of that, of anything that it gives you back, that's when that drill down capability is really kind of awesome, right? Because you're like, wait, I asked it how many orders canceled last month, and I got this number that seems absurd to me. Okay, well, right click and show me all the customers that belongs to. Show me all the projects give me that detailed order list. And you can type all that in and drill down and really see the data that is pulling behind those answers to see if that does then indeed make sense, right?
Great. So shifting gears slightly, if a customer wants to change an order already placed to another day, but our schedule is really busy, will it let that customer know which day is available for the delivery?
Not yet. That is fantastic. And that is where we're headed, right? So I always like to say you have to bake the cake before you can ice the cake, right? Before I make the cake fancy, I got to get the cake risen in the oven. So step one is the agent helping to create the order request. I kind of have been referencing it like the Domino's pizza app, right? Domino's knows that on Fridays, Mandy wants a large pepperoni pizza. This app knows that I'm this person and I'm on this job site. And so making that order request easier. At that point, we're going to move into the next step, which is to display the schedule in some fashion or say, here's the next available slot for you. We're also looking at like automatic acceptance for customers that you consider your priority customers, right? Customers that pay on time and order the most concrete and are your most profitable customers. Maybe they supersede your schedule, right? So you might want them to automatically get accepted and you're going to adjust the rest of your schedule from there. So that's where we're taking this. But step one is make it easier to request the order, make it easier to request a change to an existing order that's in the system, but not the automatic feedback back on what's happening. But that's going to come quickly.
Great. Let's do some BatchGo AI. So
yes,
concerning
please. I'm ready for Henry to talk.
Yeah, man, let's give Mandy a break. So concerning BatchGo AI, are there plans to include admixtures to improve their batch accuracy?
Yes, we are. We started with the weighing of the materials. Actually, we started with cement because that is the most expensive raw material. So we are going to expand to all materials. That's including all the meter materials with admixtures and water.
Great. So another one on BatchGo AI. You went over BatchGo AI briefly, but how can it help auto feed plants and what does it do for FEL plants?
FEL, I think that means by front end loader plants. Front end loader plants is hard to, it's hard to adjust because front end loader plant, it really depends on the front end loader operator, how to maximize that. So the accuracy and the speed, it really is on the hand of the front end loader drivers, right? So that is very hard. But the next part of the BatchGo AI, which we're also going to work on discharge. So how can we accelerate the discharge without overloading the trucks, right? Or without spilling the bill. So that part, I think the front end loader plants can benefit from.
Great. Another one on BatchGo AI. So is there any loopback capability of the system to concrete performance? So for example, slump at the job site or error content to the batching operation to enable adjustments if needed?
Not at this moment, but I think that's a great point. As we start collecting all this data, right? We store all this information in the cloud. At some point, if we can bring in the test results from the fields or whether from the QC, those information can be analyzed against the plant performances or the batch result and see whether there's any correlation between the test result on the field or with the batch weights. But that's a very good question. everything's possible. It's just where do we want to, where's the focus on? How can we provide the most benefits to our customers? And so that's we started with the batching, the weighing, and the discharge. So later on, I'm pretty sure that we're going to reach there.
Great. I'm not sure if this is a BatchGo AI question or just a BatchGo question, but what safety controls prevent bad loads?
The safety controls on the bad loads is pretty much controlled by the tolerance that you put in the system. So um, with the ACI, where they stipulate that your cement needs to be plus or minus 1%, tolerances where your aggregate has to be plus or minus 2%, and your admixtures 3%. So we operate within the tolerances that you put into a system, and the AI is going to learn and stay within those parameters.
Great. Do you, so I think this is shifting back to the world of dispatch, but do you incorporate AI systems to ensure truck placement for loading?
Not at this time. We're talking about like remote batching and autonomous plant kind of stuff, right? So is the truck pulled under the plant appropriately to get an automatic discharge? So we have remote batching functionality right now. That requires the driver to physically get out of the truck and push a release button. Until he pushes that, when he pushes that release button, they get a notification on the batch screen that says okay to discharge. And that's when the batchman can discharge, only once that safety button has been released. In the future, with under the thought of something like an autonomous plant, we would need, recognition tools to recognize when that truck, is it the right truck? Has it been pulled properly under the plant to accept that load? That's future kind of stuff. It's not where we are right now.
Great. Will InsightGo be able to pull information from DeliveryGo?
Absolutely already does. Yep. ConcreteGo, DeliveryGo, BatchGo, and coming up by the end of next week, Slabstack data as well.
Wonderful. How do we become part of the testing group on newer products and/or versions?
You can reach out to either Henry or I or your salesperson, and we can add your name to the list. These current versions already have people assigned as the early adopter candidates, but as we start initial rollouts, we need an order in which to do that. We're not going to flood everybody all at once. So yeah, you can reach out to myself or Henry or the sales email that's on this screen, and we'll make sure to get you lined up depending on what product you're on, because we're going to continue to develop new products, and we're going to need people to assist us along the way for sure.
Great. Another one that just came in. I'm not sure we really addressed the LLM hallucinations apart from manual investigation. In the back end, what are you doing to make sure we don't have to investigate every query?
Maybe I just don't really understand the question, because like this is pulling off of your data, and so I'm not like I don't know what the hallucination would be. So maybe whoever's asking this question could maybe just give me a call and we can talk about that one in more detail, because I'm not sure that I'm fully grasping the concern. Maybe. Is that fair?
Sounds good. Can users access DeliveryGo phone app with a different GPS provider?
I don't know, Henry, can they do that? So meaning if they use like Trackit, can they use our DeliveryGo app? I think the vision is that they should be able to. Yeah.
We can have, we can connect to third party GPS systems and still, use the DeliveryGo app.
Great. Okay. Okay, so I think we got maybe two questions. How on kind of next day planning, how does the AI handle changes during the day? Like measures or order run-ons, and I think somebody else asked a question about like a driver calling in sick in the middle of the day or something.
Yeah. So the short answer is currently it doesn't, right? We're creating a plan for what tomorrow will look like and that driver call-in schedule and that first set. What we're doing with the V2 of that product is incorporating that same day information and then regenerating as the day evolves, right? Load 3 isn't going to be what we planned for load 3 to be at yesterday, you know? So first, what we're releasing right now is just no changes that happen during the day, just what the ideal plan for tomorrow would look like as we go through. And then next steps will be incorporating those changes throughout the day.
Great. And we should probably wrap in a few minutes. These are all really great questions. Here's another one. Will we be getting away from a dispatch person in the way of dropping trucks? As in, if the load is needed to be dropped and a truck is in the lot, will there be an automated ticketing function to ensure on-time delivery?
Yeah, I guess I could see that we could get to that point. That is not, you know, that's maybe 7 steps from where we are. That's probably going to be a leap for a lot of organizations, right? We get feedback from remote batching that people are scared of that. So, but yeah, like Henry said earlier, all things are possible. We can certainly get to that point, like a fully autonomous operation is certainly possible, but we're probably 7, maybe 10 steps away from where we would do something like that. Right now, the thought is we're not replacing people here, right? We're just having people focus on different bits of the work, right? Your dispatcher's not going away. I don't not need dispatchers, but I don't need dispatchers to have 35 years of experience to know what's going on, to do the job. They're reacting to outliers and changes, and that's the first goal before we say no dispatcher, right?
Great. So I think we should wrap. We're almost up on the hour. I want to again thank everybody for their time and showing up today and for all the great questions. I don't think I've ever seen a webinar that had so many people continue to hang out for the Q&A session. So that's great. Let's not let the conversation end here. If you have more questions that we can address, please email us or just get through to the contact us form. I'm also going to go through and grab the questions that we weren't able to address, and we'll try to triage those over email. And then, like I mentioned before, everybody that RSVP'd, yes, whether or not you actually attended, you'll get an email that has the recording for the webinar once that's processed. That usually takes a day or so. So if there's anybody you want to share it with internally, you'll be able to do that quite easily. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate the time today. Hope everybody's year is off to a great start and hope to see you on for the next webinar. Hopefully do something towards the end of February. And thank you so much to Mandy and Henry for presenting and for answering all the great questions today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone.